Today, I'm joined by Yvonne Skelly. She went from UCD to pharma, project management, TV show host, facilitator, and speaker, and now one of the leading wellness specialists in Ireland for corporates, schools, colleges, and events. Yvonne is often described as the socially conscious leader with a community of wellness experts and facilitators from Ireland and around the globe. Yvonne, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me on.
Um, how did you end up where you are right now, with guests around? Because I've met you so many times, and I must say, you're how calm you are. It's so contagious. It's just you have it in you. It's not, sometimes I pretend that I'm calm, but I'm not. And that's
Yeah.
also contagious. But it just feels so safe when I'm beside you. It's like, she got this. She got this.
Wow. I'm
Yeah.
very humbled by that. How I got to do what I do, I think it's something that I've always felt even from a very young child, a sense of being in service, a sense of wanting to make a positive impact in the world and to create something that was helping to empower people, helping people to understand their true essence, their true ability, their creative force. So I guess I set up my company. This journey has been very much a personal self-healing journey because I think we're in an age where leadership really has to be fully embodied. So a lot of leaders of old would be very much saying one thing and doing another behind closed doors. And I always felt that if I was going to set up a company, if I was going to make a positive impact in this world, I had to be a living embodiment of what I'm trying to inspire people to be, whether that be in a personal capacity in my everyday life or through my business. So my journey has really been a self mastery journey. I'm still there. It's an ever evolving. I'm still getting there. It's an ever evolving journey, but it's one where I really want to lead by example and work through my own little woundings or whatever, so that I can be that peaceful, joyful, and genuinely authentic presentation to the world, which is who I am in my everyday life.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you because you mentioned there about leadership. What does leadership mean to you? Is it that sense of helping others and leading by
Yeah.
example?
I think leadership for me is about like that, being very authentic in how you lead. So you can't, for me, I don't think you can lead people properly, or leadership is about being the visionary, being the person that can show through your life, through how you walk every day, inspiring people and holding that vision and inviting people to come walk with you. That's leadership. But you can only really do true leadership if you're very authentic and you have integrity and you're willing to walk. It's about walking side by side with people and encouraging people to walk with you in their full potential. To me, that's leadership. It's about inviting people to be all they can be and showing people they can be all they can be through your own example.
So it's really about pushing your ego all the way down.
Yeah. There's no
Yeah.
room for ego, I feel. Ego can cause a lot of chaos in the world, and true leadership is about having humility and having grace and having a sense of service to others. It's like selfless service to people. Yeah.
And how do we get there in a world that's so busy and there is so little time for self-care and to connect with ourselves? So what are the things we can do in our daily life?
Yeah. And I think in our daily, I think first of all, you have to hold the intention that you want to connect with yourself. Because like you said, a lot of people are so busy that they don't know, they're not connected to themselves and they're not connected to each other. Because you can only connect with another person as deep as you connect with yourself. So I think a part of making positive change in
That's
the
really
world,
powerful, actually. You say
yeah,
that one more time.
you can only connect with others as deeply as you connect with yourself.
That's
So
so
if
powerful.
you truly want to make a positive impact in the world, you have to know yourself. You have to be deeply connected to yourself. And that's a journey that's ongoing and it's a day-to-day exploration. And I think if you hold that initial intention to say, look, I really want to connect with who I am, what I'm about, what is my vision, what gets me up in the morning, motivated, feeling joyful, wanting to dance, having a sense of curiosity, whatever it is, if you can connect with that part of yourself and begin the journey of ultimately removing anything that's blocking you from connecting to yourself. This is an important part of the process. This is an important part of leadership, of having a positive impact on the world, because it's a bit like what you said there, which was very humbling for me to hear, but you could feel it, like without me
Mhm.
probably even saying anything. There's a certain energy that you can feel, because it's something that I'm striving every day to explore and to develop and expand. So that's having that sense of peace, that sense of grace, that sense of complete surrender to the moment. I don't have it every single day of the week. I'm human, there's days where I'm going, oh my God, I can't deal with this. But, there's an underlying current with me most of the time where I feel a sense of grace and purpose and peace, and people feel it. You mentioned it there, you
Yeah,
felt it. So,
absolutely. And the confidence as
yeah,
well, because I think sometimes we can, again, our ego, instead of being like, okay, who do I want beside me? We're like, how can I make sure that everybody likes me and everybody stays beside me? And that's that ego, that wants you to find that, that you belong here because everybody likes you and everybody needs you. And that's not possible.
yeah. Well, I think you have to let all of that go. You have to,
Mm.
if I was, relying on what other people thought of me or approval from other people, I'd probably never do anything.
Yeah.
But when you're deeply connected to yourself and you understand who you are and what you're about, and you know that you bring a sense of integrity and a sense of purpose and a sense of good to everything that you're doing with the purity of intention, you let go of whether people approve or like you or not, because you like yourself.
Yeah.
You're comfortable with your own being and your
Yeah.
own contribution in the world, so it doesn't really matter what other people think. It's lovely, it's nice, it's, of course everyone likes compliments, and it's nice to have encouragement and nice positive comments from people, but ultimately your approval
Why do
needs
you
to
want
be.
them if they're not real, if they're not genuine, they're fake? And that's
Yeah,
what's happening again with social media and technology, and everything is kind of taking us away from that true connection
yeah.
between
And true
human.
connection to ourselves is what's going to change this world. Because when we do connect to ourselves and we have that sense of who we are and what we're about and the goodness, because people are fundamentally good. Fundamentally, people have a purity of intention. And when you look around the world, there is a lot of chaos and there's a lot of hurt and anger and, a lot of atrocities in the world. But fundamentally, if people connect with themselves and heal any wounding that takes them away from who they are, that will be expressed outwardly within the world, and we'll see less chaos and more peace and more joy and more playfulness, which is what
Yeah.
children teach us every day.
Yeah.
Children are big teachers every day to us.
Yeah. If
Yeah,
only we could all see that
yeah,
instead of
yeah,
thinking, oh, we already know everything because we're the adults here, and
yeah,
pause a little bit and watch. They could teach us so much.
yeah, yeah. Like I was away in France for a couple of days with a gang of people, and there was one couple there with their child. He's about 4 or 5, and it was so beautiful. Like, part of my vision is to build that sense of community and unity, a sense of we're all the student, we're all the teacher, so there's no hierarchy between the children and the parents, that we're all just doing our best and we're going to connect with each other and honor each other wherever we are. And when we were away for those few days, the child, beautiful, beautiful, I think it was 4 or 5, he was very much integrated, and the adults around him were revering who he was and listening to him because they've so much wisdom to share
Mm.
with us. And we were doing like energy work and meditations at sacred sites and stuff, and the child was truly held in high regard for his contribution, and to see him beginning to blossom when the people around him, and this is something that as parents we should be encouraged to do, because we're kind of programmed to think it needs to be a certain way, and we need to teach kids, this and that, and school and structure, and yes, they need some of that, but they also need to be heard, to be
Yeah.
listened to. They have a lot of wisdom, and they can perceive the world quite differently because they're not quite as programmed as us adults. so they can perceive the world quite differently. And it was so lovely to see a child in that kind of unifying community of everyone that was working in coherence together and listening to him, and to see him blossoming when he was being listened to and honored and his contribution highly valued. You could see he was beginning to blossom and expand and grow in confidence, and he was bringing the joy, and people were really appreciating all of that. It was so beautiful to witness. And part of my vision would be to create communities where children can be nurtured like that. They can be listened to and seen as equals. That yes, they have to learn some fundamental basic things about living on this planet and all that, but they have an incredible amount of wisdom, and we need to listen to them
Yeah,
and
it's
see
that
what they
quote that
actually
says
bring.
it takes one person to believe in a child for that child to then
Yeah,
expand and be their true self.
yeah. And that
And that
child was
sense of
surrounded by
belonging.
a group
Wow.
of adults that were believing in him and seeing him for, the beauty of his soul, his essence.
Yeah.
And it
And
was
that's all
wonderful
it
to see it.
takes.
Yeah, it was really
Yeah.
beautiful to see it. Yeah, yeah.
What
And
are the signs that would make you realize that you're not connected to your own self?
I think if you have a consistent feeling of desolation, a consistent feeling of high stress, of a kind of a fractured relationship with society or with relationships or jobs or careers, I think our true essence is joy and flow and playfulness and a sense of innocence and surrender to each moment. So when we're feeling very restricted and a sense of nothing really going our way, it's usually an indication that you're not fully connected to your divine essence, to that divine flow that comes through you. So if you're experiencing a lot of that, a lot of fractured nature within your life, it's an invitation. I mean, the universe is beautiful. It speaks to you in every moment. So if you have a lot of stuff going on, a lot of challenges in your life, consistently, it's a sign that you're not really listening to your essence. So there's an invitation there for you to take those experiences and start to transcend them and change your perception and connect further with yourself.
And then
Yeah.
once you are aware of those signs, what would you do next? Would journaling maybe help?
I mean, there's many things you can do. I can only speak to what I would do myself. So I would spend quite a lot of time in silence and in solitude, um, because the world is very noisy and very busy. And if you can do it in nature, even better. So take yourself off for a walk. Now I know it's not always practical when you have a young family and partners and jobs and everything, but if you can try and dedicate some time, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, where you're sitting in solitude, in silence, in stillness, preferably in nature, because nature is designed to bring us back to harmony,
Yeah.
designed to help us connect with ourselves, to create that coherent field. So definitely stillness and silence and a bit of solitude, because then you can kind of block out all the noise around you and start to listen. And one very simple thing I do, a friend of mine does it a lot as well. Put your hand on your heart and just watch your hand rise and fall with your breath. It's an amazing thing to do, just to bring yourself right into the moment and just check in. How are you feeling? How's your body feeling? Where is the emotion? Do you have restrictions? Do you have a pain? So taking time for a bit of internal inquiry is important. And then there's loads of other things you can do like that. You can do more extensive meditation, you can do body work. Eating well is important, I feel. A lot of us eat stuff that's not great for us, and at the end of the day, if you put a lot of toxic stuff into your body, your body is an energetic field. It's a very subtle energetic field with many layers to it: mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. And if you're putting stuff that's quite a lot of chemicals in it, a lot of toxicity in it, and I'm talking about processed food, stuff like that, of course it's going to impact all elements of your existence. So it is important to drink good water, eat good food, and eat food as close to its natural state as possible. And maybe even eat slightly less food than you need to, because I think sometimes we overconsume. And I can say that after being in France for a few days, eating lots of stuff,
It's
I'm
a
kind of like,
balance,
I just
isn't
want
it?
juice
It's
now.
real noticing and then going back to basics to what they
Yeah.
really
So
need.
good food, silence, a bit of body work. I mean, for me, I love to dance. It doesn't have to be working out in the gym like a mad thing. If that's what gives you joy and makes you feel good, go for it. I prefer to dance. So, and try to, and it works. Like, I remember speaking at an event recently and somebody said to me, well, how do you keep yourself motivated? Because I'm human, like we all face challenges on the nature of the way the world is at the moment. So all of us are experiencing challenges in some capacity. Um, and whenever I'm feeling down, I'll just put on music and dance and just allow and free flow dance and allow all that energy, because we can't separate ourselves from our physical body. Yes, we're spiritual beings, but we're inhabiting this physical vessel. So look after it, honor it, give it love, treat your body like a temple. But our body holds a lot of energy and tension, whether it's our own or stuff we pick up through just being in this world. Dance is a great way to release it and move it, and just move your body whatever way you want to. So I would use dance but some kind of body movement. My preferred one is dance because it instills a sense of joy
Mm.
when you're dancing, as well as letting go, and
I
it's
think
physically good.
everyone likes dancing. It's just the shame of feeling
Yeah,
embarrassed that stops us.
yeah. Well, you can just do it on your own at home.
Mm.
Just throw on I love a good old dance, 90s dance belter, and I'll
Hmm.
just put it on and dance, and it immediately will transform my mood immediately. And one of the other
You
things
can't
I
dance
do,
and be angry at the same time. That's
no,
just
yeah,
impossible.
yeah, and the
Yeah.
other thing I'd always say to people is, life can be quite challenging at the moment, but keep a sense of humor and try and laugh, like try and have at least one belly laugh a day, because like that, when you're laughing, a bit like dancing, it's very hard to be angry or hold on to
Mm.
a lot of tension if you're laughing. So even fake it till you make it laugh. Like laughter yoga is amazing.
Mm.
Just do that. Just make yourself laugh, and you'll find that naturally it'll just take over, and you'll just be laughing like a child at the back of the classroom, and you're not supposed to laugh at all. And it's that kind of giddiness, and that's so
Yeah.
nurturing. It's so good, and it elevates your energy, and it shifts your perception. Because a lot of the time, any adversity we're experiencing is because we're in a certain point of perception. If you shift that point of perception, suddenly everything that was causing you grief opens up into other possibilities. It's an invitation to look at things a different way. So there's little things, little life hacks you can do to elevate your energy, to switch your energy. Dancing, laughter, eating good food, going out in nature, being still, connecting with yourself, checking in. How am I today? How am I feeling? And no judgment. If you're
Hmm.
feeling low, honor it, allow it to move through, and then dance. Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah, even if it's a really sad dance, that's okay.
yeah,
Still
yeah,
dancing.
yeah. That's it. Yeah, any kind of dance, anything that
Mm.
moves your body, moves the energy,
Yeah.
keeps the momentum and the flow going in your body.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned that it was a few weeks ago that we were here at home. It was bedtime and no one was going to bed. No one was putting their pajamas on. Everyone was hyper and crazy. And I said, we're going to go for a walk.
Yeah.
So it was a bit raining actually. It was very mucky outside. We took our shoes and socks off and we went for 2 walks around the buildings and got our feet wet with the
Mm,
kid. And we
brilliant.
came back. We didn't need to say anything. They just went, put their pajamas, like, okay, I'm going to bed. And
Yeah,
that's all it was. It was
yeah.
amazing.
And it's brilliant. And going barefoot is a really good thing to do because there's loads of science behind that. And you can see the kids are very receptive to it.
Yeah.
Kids know intuitively.
They held my hands coming back home. They came to me and held my hands. And
Yeah,
it was that moment of true connection. I was like, wow, I can
beautiful.
feel this. It was amazing.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. And that's, again, you're just shifting the energy, you see,
Hmm.
because they were all pent up or whatever
Yeah.
was going on. So if you check in and go, okay, right, being self-aware and reflective and checking in and go, okay, I need to shift this,
Yeah.
and using something like that to shift it. It's
Yeah.
transformational, and then everybody feels better. And then the
Yeah.
children go to bed, and mom, dad, or whoever's at home, they feel better because everyone's starting to go from a heightened state of stress into a more calm state, which is great.
Yeah.
Everybody
Absolutely.
benefits. Yeah.
Yeah. And how can you make sure, that you spoke about leadership. Do you think we're all naturally leaders? Is that something to do with our personality or identity, or is that something that some people has it? some people have it, some people don't? Or can we develop that if we're consciously aware and, if we make that conscious decision, that's the person we want to become?
I think there's some people that can naturally tend to have more leadership qualities about them. Ultimately, I think we're all capable of being our own leader. And that's what I would encourage, my leadership style, if you want to put it into a category, would be to encourage people to be their own leaders, to move away from putting leadership onto external people and starting to like that, have their own internal inquiry and knowing themselves better so that they can lead and make decisions that are more in alignment with who they are. I do like to, and a friend of mine has often kind of given this example, and I really like it. It's like the remuneration of birds. When you have a flock of birds, I think it might be swallows, and they're traveling together, and one bird might take the lead at certain points, and then they'll hang back, and another bird will take the lead at another point. So it's like there's different leaders taking leadership roles because we all have different strengths and qualities. And if we want to start creating a more unified society, which would be part of my own vision, is to move away from polarity and division to move into a more unified field. It's about encouraging people to be the best version of themselves, to be their own leader, and then thinking of that analogy of the birds taking leadership at different times. So we're all leaders in some way, but sometimes somebody needs to step up because maybe their quality is more aligned with whatever the task is at the moment, and then coming back. So I like that analogy because it's almost like everyone is equal, and everyone is making a contribution that's best aligned with their strengths and the qualities that they have for the greater good of society. So we're all individual leaders.
Yeah, that makes me think how behind the school system is, because everybody has to be the same and everybody has to have the same strengths and know the same knowledge and contents, and there's no room for creativity and to bring the uniqueness of each person, individual in the classroom into it. It's like, if you don't know, you need to know 3 + 3 makes whatever. And if you don't know, then you're a bad student. And we're still there, and it's just so damaging for the child.
It's almost like breaking the spirit
Personality.
of a lot of children.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me. My kids are grown up now, so they're older, they're in their 20s now, but yeah, I think sometimes the schooling, not sometimes, very most of the time, the schooling system, it doesn't, what I experienced this week with that child in south of France, and we're away, that's the kind of schooling system we should have, where you're encouraging the uniqueness and the beauty of each individual child's understanding and imagination and playfulness and innocence, not trying to put them into, having a child sit at a desk for 8 hours a day. It's breaking their spirit almost. I think forest schools and outdoor stuff and leading by creativity and, honoring each child's individual perception of the world is so, so important, and we've got some amazing, amazing children coming in now at this time on planet Earth. And yeah, I think we really need to revisit our education system and see how we can support them. In my own work, I'm starting to work in schools, mainly secondary, and we're starting to go in and we're just offering another opportunity for them to tune into themselves through different modalities, maybe drumming, meditation, breath work. And this is really important, and I can see that this is helping to open up these students to their own inner understanding and their own soul's gifts. And this is really, really important work because in many ways they've been suppressed or diminished through a system that's not almost designed to allow people to have their individual expression.
Is that just a once-off session that you do in the schools?
Yeah, generally we'll go in for maybe a day or two. Of course, I'd love to make it a more sustained experience, but yeah, I'm on a mission to try and get into as many schools as I possibly can because I can see the impact it's having.
Do you
Not
have any
just on the
stories
day.
of something that has really shifted or changed in some students?
Yeah, like we've had students contact us after we've been in to say, I was really suffering with anxiety and stress. But when you come in, because part of our role as we go in is to, on one level, provide an education experience for them about self-care and helping to, I suppose, relax and overcome anxiety and positive mindsets and all of that. But we also give them an experience on the day. So we have had student contact us afterwards to say they enjoyed the experience on the day, but that we've also given them something to take home with themselves in order to help manage their anxiety and their stress, because there's no doubt a lot of the students are suffering with anxiety. There's almost like a mental health pandemic happening in our schools with younger and younger ages, not just secondary, it's even filtering into primary. And these children need support, and the system is not working for them. So they need that support to empower themselves to manage their own mental and emotional well-being.
Where's that anxiety coming from?
I mean, I think the way society is designed in many ways, I think technology,
Mm.
COVID didn't help with that, because it disconnected a lot of people physically, socially, which is very important for that age group.
Haven't recovered from that
They
yet.
haven't recovered, so we're seeing the aftermath of that separation and that isolation. I think we're in a digital age where a lot of them are communicating through their phones, they're on screens. I mean, that's all creating, neural pathways that are not very nourishing to the spiritual essence of these children. Um, and just the nature of the world. I mean, look at the world around us. There's so much happening in the
Mm.
world. And these students are very sensitive, beautiful souls who are finding this harshness of this reality quite difficult. That's my own sense of it. That's more of a spiritual consciousness
Yeah,
perception of it, but that's my own sense of it. There's many different, it's almost like a perfect storm that's come together to create these high levels of anxiety and self-doubt, and they are highly empathic beings that are finding it very difficult. So the work of us going into schools, I feel, is really, really important, because we're empowering them, we're giving them information, we're giving them techniques that they can go off and develop and explore to help them connect with themselves. And these are the generation that are bringing in the new society, the more unified consciousness. So they need our support. They need elders like myself. You're only a young one, but they need older people like myself that are maybe on a path quite a long time in developing our own self mastery, ongoing, of course, because none of us have it figured out. But they need people to support them and show them the way, and to hold that space for them as they explore. Once they are in tune with themselves and understand their true potential and their true power, they'll create magic in this world. This world will change exponentially overnight as soon as these children are supported and encouraged to be all they can be, and to remember who they really are and
that's
not give their power
amazing.
away. Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
it's really just to give them hope and to
yeah,
know that there is another way, and then they can go on and find out more.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They need to be given hope. They need to understand that they have the power.
Mm.
That it doesn't matter what's happening in the world, and adults too. And this is where the parenting can come in, because you need to be a leader. If you truly want to parent your kids and inspire your kids, you have to be an embodiment of what you want them to be. They're not going to do as you say, they'll do as you do.
Mm-hmm.
They'll get the programming and the energetic imprint of how you move in the world through watching you and observing you. So as parents, we have to take an honest inventory of ourselves and how we are behaving and expanding or contracting or whatever it is. But the children need us adults to lead the way, lead by example, and hold the space for them.
Yeah, that's actually I was speaking with someone recently, and I said, oh, my daughter struggles with something. Where did that come from? And she said, look at you. You struggle with the same thing. So sometimes it's not that we are a role model for them and they copy us, but sometimes, and all of the time, they are a mirror and we can see ourselves. And if we slow down and look through it, we can see our own struggles. So it's not about changing them. It's about they're showing me what I need to change about myself, and then they'll follow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And children can be a mirror. They're very energetically connected to us, particularly under the age of 7, 8. So they can energetically take an imprint of how we are in the world. So they show you. Yeah,
Mm.
they can
So my
show you.
parents said to me today, my 4-year-old hates me. He absolutely hates me. And I said, has he said that to you? And she said, no, but he clearly shows me every day that he hates me and everything is a fight.
Okay.
What do you think about that? Because a mom is the most precious thing to a child.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's difficult for a mum to hear.
Mm,
Um, I would invite the mum to sit and see how she feels about herself.
mm.
Has she got a lot of stuff? And I'm saying this with no judgment, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know anything
We're
about the
all we're all
backstory.
learning in this
Absolutely,
world,
yeah,
but is there stuff within herself? Is there, is she lacking in a sense of self or self-worth? Is there
mm,
self-loathing there? Is there something going on, maybe old wounding? Is there something else going on for the child? You'd have to look at everything that's going on around, but
yeah,
the child is presenting something, it's mirroring something.
yeah,
And as a parent, it can be, you have to take responsibility for how you're expressing your life. So the child is picking up something somewhere. So yeah.
absolutely. And how important it is to keep. I think when we become a parent, our identity changes a lot.
Mm,
And I kind of lost my own identity. I didn't know who I was for so long because it was that transition, that really long transition
mm.
between, myself as a woman or as whatever, and then myself as a mom then, and then myself as both together, or an entrepreneur. Or how do you make sure you keep true to your own value? Are you, or I suppose it's just being aware of your values and
Yeah.
going back to that.
I
Do
think it's
your
to
values change over
prioritize.
time?
Yeah, I mean, I said my children are grown up now, but certainly when they were younger, my whole identity was as a mother. And I dedicated my life to them, to looking after them, and they took precedence over everything else. In my older years of wisdom, of course, children need their parents and they need them to be there and look after them and nurture them and do the best they can for them. It is important to carve out time for yourself because it can be a big identity crisis. Suddenly you're this independent woman and then you have this responsibility because it's almost like an overwhelming responsibility, and we probably don't talk about that enough. When you suddenly become a mother or a father, there's this overwhelming sense of responsibility and the lines of who you are become completely blurred. If I had any kind of nugget of wisdom to share, it would be to try and carve out a little bit of time for yourself, for your own identity and your own wishes and your own vision, because the more you can be in your own power and be, an embodiment of what you're here to do, it actually inspires your children more and more. So, yeah, it is a difficult one. The lines get blurred, but just allow time for yourself if you can. I mean, it's not always possible if you don't have the support network or you don't have somebody to take the children for an hour or two. But it's try and carve out time for yourself, and it's that 5 minutes of stillness of connecting with yourself, or
Yeah.
10 minutes, just staying in tune with who you are as a separate entity beyond all the other responsibilities that you have.
That's very powerful. And I've been actually feeling so guilty myself, as we all do, because I've been working so much with the business and everything. And I just, it was only my daughter said to me the other day, Mommy, when I grow up, I want to have a job like yours. And I said, Oh, what's a job like mine? And she said, a job that makes me happy.
Oh,
Like,
amazing.
here's me feeling guilty, and look how much she's learning, that she wants a
Yeah,
job that makes her happy, and that's possible, and she's in control of that.
yeah. That's beautiful. That's life. She has it sorted.
I know, like, okay,
That's it.
bye.
She's figured out life. She's figured out life, and you've inspired her. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's just really like, if
yeah,
you're true to yourself and you show them that and share them and make them be part of it as well and share
yeah,
your excitement and everything,
yeah. That's
nothing.
beautiful. I
Mm.
love that. That's really
I'm like,
beautiful. That's
oh,
all
I
you
love
want is
that.
for your kids to be happy. Like I remember my son said to me, like he's 22, 23 now, and he got a place in college and he got an opportunity to do an apprenticeship. And he said to me, Mom, would you mind if I didn't do college and I did the apprenticeship? And I was like, son, I don't, all I'll ever ask you is, are you happy? Are you
Yeah.
fulfilled? Is your life bringing you joy? So I don't care what you do with your life once you're happy and you're doing what makes your heart sing. So, do whatever makes your heart sing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and he's doing a
Love
job
that.
and he loves that and he's fully qualified now and but that was my answer to him. It doesn't matter what people are doing as long as they're not hurting people, obviously, and they're happy
Mm.
and they're fulfilled in what they're doing.
But that's because you're connected to yourself. Because if you
Yeah,
weren't, then you sometimes project those expectations that you didn't
yeah,
have, things you didn't achieve on your children. And then you want them to go to college because you didn't have that chance, or you want them to do this or that because you didn't have that chance. And
yeah,
that's, I think that's again back to that connection to your own self and your values and your mission and what you want them to be in life.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So just before we go, if you had, if you could give one piece of advice to anyone listening, what would it be?
Oh gosh, I think it's ask yourself what brings you joy and do more of that. Life
And
is
double
very
it,
simple.
double it.
Very simple. Just do, what brings you joy? Now, some people are so disconnected from themselves. When you ask them that question, they don't even know. So if you're one of those people, start to give yourself that 5 or 10 minutes of stillness, putting your hand on your heart and connecting with yourself. And if you are able to know what brings you joy, do more of it. It doesn't have to be something big and profound and game changing worldwide, although in its own way it is. Because as each of us creates that frequency of joy, you're impacting the world. But so it doesn't have to be this outwardly expressive, global domination type act, but do more of what brings you joy and understand. And if you don't understand what brings you joy, make a promise to yourself that you'll at least explore the possibility of what brings you joy and then do more of that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I'm going to do something that brings me joy. Actually, that brought me a lot of joy talking to you.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you for
you.
that.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Yvonne.